Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back another video day, and today the Houston Rockets lose to the Portland Trailblazers 98 to 104 or 104 to 98, and yeah, tough loss for the Rockets tonight. A lot of frustration in this loss. I'm not trying to make excuses for this team at all, but I will mention this was their fifth game in 7 nights. So that can really play a toll on a team. And I think this team tonight really showed how tired they were. I mean, some really bad basketball. I mean, shot 8 for 32 from 3, which is 25%. Shot 35% from the floor. And look, I think what makes it worse is like Portland was not in the zone either. Portland was not doing great at the free throw line. Missed 5 free throws. Shot 37% from the floor, 34 for 90. So it's not Portland didn't do much better than the Rockets in this game. I think the only difference why Portland won this basketball game, both offenses were absolutely terrible in this basketball game. Both took 90 shots. One team only made 32. The other made 34, with the Portland Trailblazers making 34 and the Rockets making 32. I think the only difference in this game is Portland knocking down threes and the Rockets not. I mean, Portland, half of their buckets were three-pointers, or more than half of their buckets in this game were three-pointers, 18 out of 34. I think that's the only difference in this basketball game. Now, unfortunately, we've seen games this year for the Rockets where they're able to get a win and still, struggle bad from three. We saw it on Wednesday night. The Rockets shot terrible from 3 on Wednesday night. Still beat the Pacers by 17. Now, that's because tonight we didn't see the same energy from this team. We didn't see this team getting in as much as fast breaks as they have been doing. And I thought Portland did a great job at stopping the Rockets from getting in that energy where they're just unstoppable. And let's take our caps off for Portland, because I thought they did a really good job. And I said it last night. I said it after the Rockets game last night, doing the same thing I'm doing now when we won 116 to 88. I said Portland's going to come back fighting tomorrow, and the Rockets need to be ready for that. It's not often that you play a team back-to-back on a back-to-back. I think teams are getting more used to playing a team back-to-back games. I definitely think they're getting more used to that. That's been around in the league for a couple years now. But to play a team back-to-back on a back-to-back definitely is different. And Portland was going to make changes. Despite I believe in the Rockets have a better team than Portland does, and I think a lot of people would think that. I think they have a good coach. And I'm not saying he's a better coach than Ime Udoka, because I don't agree with that either. But I think Chauncey Billups is a good enough coach to make the right changes after the loss they took last night to the Rockets, and make changes in order to help Portland compete more. And I said last night, Portland's going to come fighting, and tomorrow's not going to be an easy game. The Rockets are going to have to fight, and I said I think the Rockets are going to win tomorrow, but they're going to have to put up a fight, and it's going to be a close one. I never expected the Rockets to lose this one. I just didn't. The only thing I expected was for Portland to fight and it to be a close one. But, look, the Rockets do some things better. They probably win this game. And to me, I think this game reminds me a lot of the heartbreaking loss to Portland last year. I went to that game last year, and I think the only difference between that game last year and this game this year is that there was no overtime in this game. It was back and forth in that game, and I'll never forget that Jeremy Grant buzzer beater that sent the game into overtime. One of my most heartbreaking moments ever being physically at a Rockets game, and yeah, that was crazy, and that was a really tough loss. But both teams went back and forth in that one, and that was the case in this one, as well. In the fourth quarter, the Rockets they were in a very, very dry spell in the fourth quarter. They ended up scoring 27 points in the fourth quarter, but 4 minutes in, the Rockets could not buy a bucket. The Rockets had 4 points in the fourth quarter, but no field goals. It was all free throws. The Rockets were in a bad place to start out the fourth. And it was 83-75. They were down 8 points. Needed to get something going. Announcers were being negative. I mean, it's so funny. Craig Ackerman, play-by-play announcer, says, I love Craig Ackerman. I've had him on here. I had a interview on my channel. And he's a great guy, but sometimes he can say some not so smart stuff. And he says with 8 minutes left, which I'm not going to say what he said was wrong. It's just the Rockets did prove him wrong. He said just as it was 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the offense could not buy a bucket. He said that he was very worried about where the game was headed because the Rockets, in a normal game with the way they're usually playing, he wouldn't be worried with them being down 8 in 8 minutes. But he's very worried. And not even a minute and a half later, the Rockets score 8 straight points, and the game is tied at 83. And so the Rockets go on an 8-0 run. It's 83-83. Portland goes on a 7-0 run, and it's 90-83. Portland's back up by 7. Then the Rockets go on another run and go on a run of their own, tied the game back up at 90. And then after that, the teams just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, I think Portland scored again, and then the Rockets tied the game up at 92, and then both teams went back and forth, back and forth. And the way things went downhill was Anthony Simons hitting a 3-pointer to give Portland the lead, 99-96, and Fred VanVleet, very, very stupid decision by Fred VanVleet. I mean, I'm also going to criticize Ime Udoka. 12 seconds left, no timeout. Where's the timeout? It was 99-96. Sengun then made a hook shot. They played the 2, then get a foul, then get the ball back. They fouled Avdia. He made both free throws, and it was 101-98. And in that moment, with 12.6 seconds left, what you have to do is call a timeout. The Rockets had, I believe, it was either 1 or 2 timeouts Ime Udoka had in his back pocket. I don't know what the game plan is there. I guess the guys just knew, okay, this is what we have to do. We're taking a 3, or maybe was the game plan to, go for another 2, then foul again, and then take a timeout, hoping Portland would miss a free throw. I don't know what the game plan was there, because both I think both Ime Udoka and Fred VanVleet messed up at the end of this ball game. I think Fred VanVleet took a stupid shot where he thought he would get fouled, where he thought there was some contact. I didn't really see any contact there. I can understand why Fred thought there was contact, but I didn't see any. And in that moment, I just don't understand why Ime didn't call a timeout. And Fred was very stupid decision for Fred to take the shot. I know he's a good 3-point shooter, very inefficient 3-point shooter, but also think about this. He was 0 for 6 from 3 on the night. And when you're shooting 8 for 32 as a team, it's really hard to to find the right guy who's going to shoot that, trying to tie the game up with a 3. But it should have not been Fred. I think if you're going to want to draw something up, hit a 3. It shouldn't have been Jalen either. He was 1 for 9 on the night. Sengun can make a 3, but you're not going to give him the ball to try to tie the game up with 3. I think the more realistic option to try to give the Rockets a tie ball game with a 3 would have been some of the guys who were actually knocking down 3s tonight. Maybe you go to Dylan Brooks or Jabari Smith Jr., or even put on Reed Shepherd, who hit 2 threes tonight. But not Fred VanVleet. Fred took matters in his own hands in this game, figuratively and literally. What Fred did in this game, I get his frustrations. He had a terrible night. He shot 0 for 6 and 3, 4 for 13, only 8 points. He was very solid with getting his assists and rebounds, 5 apiece. But this was not a good night for Fred VanVleet. And this is back-to-back nights for Fred where he is not doing good. I feel his frustrations. But what happened to this game, I get him getting frustrated cussing out the ref, whatever he said to the ref that made the ref eject him, that's fine. But Fred putting his hand up to the referee, that just cannot happen. And the only reason I'm so mad about it is because it looked like Fred might have landed his hand on the referee's face. The Rockets cannot afford to have Fred VanVleet get a 1-game suspension. With the next game being a NBA Cup game where the Rockets are undefeated in the group and control their own destiny to go to the knockout round where every single player on this roster will get $100,000. The Rockets, look, Fred is a very inefficient player, but before these last 2 games, he's been playing some great basketball. And even if he's shooting really bad, he's still really good at defense and facilitating. So the Rockets still need him. And the Rockets cannot afford to lose him if he potentially... I hope it's just a fine. I hope the NBA comes for his wallet. I think that's going to happen regardless. I just really hope he is not suspended. He's gonna get fined regardless, whether it's a suspension and a fine. I hope they just come for his money and not a game. That would be coming for his money too. But the Rockets cannot afford to lose Fred VanVleet in an NBA Cup game, and that will be very frustrating. This was a tough loss for the Rockets tonight, and this one's definitely going to sting out of some of the losses. I mean, look, the loss earlier this week against Milwaukee really stung because of, what came back that Giannis actually stepped out of bounds. But, this loss does hurt as well because the Rockets' defense, I felt like they played good enough for them to win this game. They had 8 steals. They had 5 blocks. They held the Blazers to 104 on the scoreboard, only 37% from the floor. The defense did enough, but their offense just could not buy a bucket. Let me know your thoughts on the Rockets' 104-98 loss in the comment section, and peace out, go Rockets.